Hello there. If everyone could get seated, we're going to start very soon. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Carol Moore, and I'm the City Clerk, Clerk of the Council for your city. I'm pleased to announce the arrival of the councilors-elect for the City of Newton.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay, if everyone could please be seated. Thank you. So it is time to begin our inaugural exercises, but first I would like to thank the Zoza Quartet for providing our music this afternoon. The first thing we need to do is to elect a temporary presiding officer. Are there any nominations for temporary presiding officer?
Madam Clerk, I rise to nominate Councilor-elect Baker as temporary presiding officer.
Thank you. Councilor Grossman has nominated Councilor-elect Baker. Is there a second to that nomination?
I rise to second the nomination.
Thank you. The nomination has been seconded by Councilor-elect Bixby. Are there any other nominations?
I move to close the nominations.
Thank you. Motion to close nominations by Councilor Humphrey. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Councilor Baker, you've been elected temporary presiding officer.
Well, good morning, welcome, and Happy New Year to you all. I want to begin by thanking Carol and Ms. Moore and her able staff.
Recording in progress.
Well, I'll start that again. Welcome and Happy New Year. I want to begin by thanking our wonderful clerk, Carol Moore, and her very able staff, the clerks Daniel Delaney, Jacqueline Norton, and Evan Cudmore for helping organize this proceeding, as well as Hattie Kerwin from the mayor's, Hattie Kerwin-Derrick from the mayor's office, because this all would not occur without their considerable effort and planning. Again, I am Councilor-elect Lyle Baker, and I am here in part because I am the senior member of the Newton Council in length of service. And I'm also honored to be here to explain a little bit about what we're doing. Before we begin, I want to indicate that we're joined by some current and former elected officials. Congressman Jake Auchincloss, I believe, is here, and we welcome him. I also saw that former Ward 5 Councilor at Large Paul Coletti and his wife Dolores are here. He was a distinguished chairman of finance for a number of years. Thank you, Paul. I also want to acknowledge my wife Sally, who is a veteran of over 40 years of these inaugurations, as well as our daughter Louise Baker Lee, our granddaughters Alice and Adelaide Lee, and her husband Rich Lee, who are all here from California, and I just am glad to see them here. And if there are others that I didn't recognize, please wave or otherwise indicate, and I'll try and make sure we remedy the problem. And finally, and most important, we are joined either in person or on new TV by those of us we serve, those of you we serve, rather. All of us here hope you are well and appreciate your watching. As how we proceed, those of you have a written program, but for those at home who do not have one, the business of the day is to assure an orderly transfer of power from outgoing officials to newly elected ones, and each elected official is duly sworn in to office, as you will see. For some on the council and school committee, this is their first time being sworn into office. For me, it is my 21st time. And it still is a remarkable thing because it marks a peaceful transfer of power, something we always prize as foundational to our democracy, even at this local level. And later in the ceremony, there will also be an election of the council and school committee leadership, which in the case of the council will follow a process which seems a little unusual, but is designed to assure that our leadership, the council president, vice president, and president emeritus, each have the support of a majority of those councilors that they will serve. That's 13. To accomplish that, we first have to elect them in what is called a committee of the whole, and if and only if candidates win an absolute majority of 13 votes, do we then formalize the result in the full council. A lot of suspense here. Before we go further, however, I would like to take an opportunity to ask us to stand for a moment of silence in honor of the memory of a former member of this council we lost recently in December, George Mansfield, former ward councilor for Ward 6. Thank you. Now, with that background, let me ask the clerk to call the roll of city councilors-elect. And before she does, just let me indicate that those councilors-elect who are absent in person will be sworn in after they return to Newton.
Councilor-elect Albright. Councilor-elect Baker.
Present.
Councilor-elect Bixby.
Present.
Councilor-elect Block. Councilor-elect Danberg.
Present.
Councilor-elect Downs.
Here.
Councilor-elect Farrell. Councilor-elect Gentile.
Present.
Councilor-elect Getz. Councilor-elect Greenberg.
Present.
Councilor-elect Grossman.
Present.
Councilor-elect Humphrey.
Present.
Councilor-elect Kalis.
Present.
Councilor-elect Kelly.
Present.
Councilor-elect Krinsman.
Present.
Councilor-elect Laredo. Present. Councilor-elect Leary.
Present.
Councilor-elect Lipoff.
Present.
Councilor-elect Labovitz.
Present.
Councilor-elect Lucas.
Present.
Councilor-elect Maliki.
Present.
Councilor-elect Mickley.
Present.
Councilor-elect Oliver. Councilor-elect Wright. Councilor Baker, there are 22 present and 2 absent.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'd now like to ask if councilors-elect Albright and Gentile might escort the school committee-elect into the chamber. Again, for those of you who are here, I'm sure you know this, but for those at home, we have 24 councilors, 3 from each of the 8 wards in the city, 1 elected by the ward alone, and 2 elected at large. That gives Newton quite a diverse and representative city council. We now await the school committee. Would you all rise to welcome the school committee, please? I should just mention that it is fitting that Councilors Albright and Gentile perform this function. They served on the school committee themselves. So, Madam Clerk, can you call the roll of the members of the school committee elect? We all please be seated. Thank you.
Member-elect Bresky. Member-elect Davenport. Member-elect Greenstein. Member-elect Levy. Member-elect Olszewski. Member-elect Parlikar. Member-elect Prenner. Member-elect Shen. Counselor, there are 7 members present, 1 absent.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And now I'd like to ask Councilors-elect Green and Lucas and School Committee Olszewski to escort the mayor and her guests into the chamber. Please rise to welcome the mayor, Mayor Fuller. Thank you very much. Thank you. You can all be seated. Thank you again. I would now like to invite Reverend Cheryl Kerr, Senior Minister of the United Parish of Auburndale, to offer an invocation.
Good morning and welcome, and what an honor it is to be here representing my community on behalf of this amazing city and all of you in your commitment to its well-being. Let us open our hearts to the Spirit that is across the board in so many different names and ways. In my tradition, we like to invoke the Spirit of the divine into a space. I'd like to say that it's already here. And so we invoke the Spirit within ourselves. Let us join together in prayer. Oh God, as we are gathered here in the name of selflessness, in the name of service, in the name of hope for this great city, we pray that we recognize your Spirit within us, working through us for the good of all. Oh God, on this first morning of the year 2024, we pray that you invoke the spirit of kindness, kindness that sees every person, every resident, every single family and individual in this town equally hopeful, equally wondering, equally deserving of all that they seek. We pray that this sense of kindness lead us in communication with one another, in work that we do for the sake of this city and not for the sake of ourselves or our own ambition. Oh God, we pray that you invoke in us a spirit of humility, humility that allows us to see this equality, humility that sees that the joys and the hopes of those different from us go before us and are just as important as the ones we hold up. a humility that reminds us that we today are committed by the oath made to selfless civil service. Oh God, this morning invoke in us a spirit of unity. For in the end, it is the goal of the people elected to these positions and all of us here today to come together as one, not the same one, for unity is not uniformity. Remind us of this purpose, that we are to hear and see each other in the work that we do, to listen more than to speak, and to hold each other, our experiences, and wonder in empathy as decisions are made and policies are formed. And finally, O Holy Divine, we ask that you invoke in us a spirit of truth, not a personal or individual truth, but a holistic one that equally celebrates many experiences, realities, and priorities. All of this feels impossible, and yet nothing is impossible when we are with you. You of many names, you of many purposes and priorities and hope, and one in love. God, invoke in us a spirit of love today and every day that goes forward. We pray this in all that is holy and true. Amen.
Thank you very much. Now I'd ask the Scouts and the Police and Fire Honor Guard to post the colors and lead the assembly in the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for our national anthem by R.S. Lipetsker, who will lead us in the anthem. The Scouts will lead us in the pledge. Are they here? Oh, there's 2 right there. Oh, there you are. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Eric?
So proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars
Wonderfully done. Thank you so much. And I'd ask the color guard to retire the colors, please. Thank you. You can all be seated again. So now it is my great honor and privilege to welcome to the podium our Mayor, Ruth Ann Fuller. Mayor Fuller and I are not only friends but neighbors, and we are grateful for her service, and I'm grateful for her taking over this job. So.
Good morning, everybody. I want to give a special welcome to our Congressman Jake Auchincloss, to Reverend Kaur and Rabbi Barry and Reverend Scott. Aries just slipped out, but boy, what a magnificent voice. I also have spotted our Police Chief John Carmichael is here, as well as our Superintendent Anna Nolan. Thank you for joining us as well. And for those in the audience, we're so glad you're starting the day here, the first day of this new year. We're honored by your presence, and certainly to all of those who are taking the oath of office. I also believe I did spot former City Councilor Paul Coletti in the audience. A special welcome to you as well. With that, we're going to do the important work. I am, in just a moment, going to invite everybody taking the oath of office to stand, but here are the instructions. There are 3 different times where I'm going to say the word "I" and pause. You're going to fill in your own name, and then there's a moment where the city councilors and school committee members have to designate what oath they are taking. That's going to come after the word "as." So if all of you will rise and raise your right arm. I do solemnly swear that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and will support the Constitution thereof. So help me God. I do solemnly swear and affirm that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon me as agreeably to the rules and regulations of the Constitution and laws of this Commonwealth. So help me God. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States. So help me God. Congratulations. You may be seated. You may be seated. At this moment, our clerk, Carol Moore, is going to go through a process of inviting all of you to sign the oath of office book. Ward 1, Councilor at Large, Allison Leary. Yes. Ward Councillor Maria Greenberg. Ward 2, Councillor at Large Susan Albright. Councillor at Large Tariq Lucas.
Thank you.
Ward Councillor David Mickley. Oh, David. Yeah, he's getting pictures. Ward 3, Councillor at Large Andrea Kelly. Ward Councillor Julia Maliki. Ward 4, Councillor at Large Leonard Gentile. Ward 4, Councillor at Large Joshua Krinsman. Ward Councillor Randy Block. Ward 5, Councillor at Large Rena Getz. Councillor at Large Andrea Downs. Ward Councillor Bill Humphrey. Counselor at Large Alan Lobovitz. I'm so sorry earlier. Oh, I'm right into that. Yep. Thank you. Ward Counselor Martha Bixby. Oh, I missed Vicky. She'll be next. Yeah, I'll get her, sorry. I'm not wearing my reading glasses, so it's everybody. Right there. Right there. Counselor at Large, Vicky Damberg. Thank you. I jumped right through you. I'm not wearing my reading glasses. Right there for me. Thank you. I love your nails. Ward 7, Counselor at Large, Mark Laredo. Counselor at Large, Becky Grossman. Ward Counselor Lyle Baker. Ward 8, Counselor at Large, Richard Lipoff. Ward Counselor Stephen Farrell. I would like to welcome the school committee members. Ward 1, Rajiv Parlikar. Ward 2, Chris Bresky. Ward 3, Anping Shen. Ward 4, Tamika Olszewski. It's Olszewski. I'm so sorry. Ward 5, Rachel Prenner. Oh, you're Emily. I'm Emily. She wrote Rachel. Don't worry about it. Thank you very much. Ward 7, Amy Davenport. Ward 8, Barry Greenstein.
And I now welcome Rabbi Allison Berry, who is co-senior rabbi at Temple Shalom, to offer a prayer for our community. Thank you, Rabbi.
Mayor Fuller, thank you so much, and thank you for having me here today. I want to thank every single person in this room for what you do for our city to make the lives of people here better every single day. I particularly want to call out the families of our elected officials. You're included in that gratitude and thanks. It's no easy thing to be a family member, and this is a day of honor and also to honor you. Today, what I know is that it's our practice in America when we ask someone how they're doing, that we expect a pretty standard response. I'm fine, it's okay, right? It's a cultural thing that we respond in that way. This fall, for many members of the Jewish community, when you ask how we are doing, it's been impossible to answer. To be honest, once or twice I've actually just cried. For you see, I'm not okay. I'm tired, and as a community leader, I feel alone. I sit at meeting after meeting. Do we need to schedule more active shooter drills? How will we pay for round-the-clock guards? Are the safe rooms at our synagogue actually safe? It's just surreal. It feels to me as if the world is on fire, our world is on fire, and we are not okay. This is maybe not the prayer for our community that you expected to hear today, but I promise you I am here to offer a story, a prayer, and perhaps some hope. There's a midrash, a Jewish text that speaks of our patriarch Abraham. He sees a building, and the building is doleket, burning in Hebrew. And in great distress, Abraham asks, is no one in charge of fanning the flames? He then, not so patiently, awaits a response. As a religious person, I so long for God to show up and just take care of it all. But then I'm reminded that as Jews, as it is in many other traditions, it's our responsibility to work in partnership with one another and perhaps in partnership with some greater power. We are the ones who must fan the flames. And today, as you take on the sacred responsibility of guiding our beloved Newton community, it is you who will take charge. It is you who will lead us. And this is my prayer for our community and for you, its leaders. This year, in a place where there is no water, may you be the water. In a place where there is hunger, may you feed the hungry. In a place where there is dissent, may you rise above. In a place where there are intractable roadblocks, may you lead not only with balance sheets, but with vision and values. In a place where there is hate, may you be a voice of moral clarity, not moral equivocation. But that's not all. The word doleket, flames or burning, it also has a second meaning. Doleket can also mean a glow. And so as the Midrash teaches us, we can look around us and see all that is aflame. But what I continue to believe, despite the events of this fall, is that my cozy home in Newtonville, our city streets and parks, our schools, our senior centers, and this city hall can be filled with light. We can be a kaleidoscope, a doleket of integrity and compassion. We just have to commit to making it so. You have to commit to making it so. And so as we begin 2024 and as you begin our term as our trusted elected officials, I promise, and I know others will join me, that I'll work beside you. All of us will work beside one another. And as we begin this great task, this is my final prayer from Pirkei Avot, one of our pieces of Talmud, V'makom she'ein anashim, hishtadel lehiyot ish, in a place where no one is human. May you, may me, may all of us, may we strive to be human. In a place where there is no light, then may we find that doleket, may we set the world aglow. Let us be light. Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi Barry. To President Laredo and Vice President Kalis, President Emeritus Baker, City Councilors, Chair Bresky, Vice Chair Prenner, members of the school committee, Congressman Auchincloss, and District Director Dana Hansen, our esteemed clergy, family, and friends, and fellow residents of our good city of Newton, a Happy New Year. Today, we pass the torch to a newly formed City Council and School Committee, and to each of you who took that solemn oath of office to serve our city, a heartfelt thanks on behalf of our residents. And welcome in particular to our 6 new counselors, Counselor Bixby and Counselor Block, Counselor Farrell, Counselor Getz, Counselor Lobowitz, Counselor Mickley, and our 2 new school committee members, School Committee Member Davenport and School Committee Member Greenstein. Together, we have the privilege, the honor, and the responsibility to work together on behalf of a remarkable community at a unique time in our history. We are living and we are serving during a complicated, unsettled time, as Rabbi Barry alluded to. At my first inauguration as mayor 6 years ago today, I took the oath knowing full well that there would be challenges and difficult decisions. But I don't think any of us could have imagined the complexities that we have all navigated. The pandemic, economic turmoil, a nationwide racial reckoning, discontent and divisiveness, democracy challenged at home and abroad, hatred and anti-Semitism, and some terrible tragedies in our community, all of which have tested our resilience. We are gathered here today knowing that in Newton we have persevered and are strengthened by our deep sense of commitment and compassion. Excuse me. As Cardinal O'Malley so eloquently said in his Christmas homily, in a room where there is still no room at the inn, we must commit ourselves to a compassionate response to the poor, the sick, the refugee, the prisoner, the stranger, the homeless, those who are a different color, speak a different language, those who embrace another ideology. Yes, we know we face challenges: housing, education, inequity, healthcare, climate change, transportation, finances. And yet every day I have the privilege of working with some of the brightest and most committed individuals in municipal government. Both this group taking the oath of office today and those who choose to work for our city. And together we are ready to meet those challenges. As the mayor of Newton and a proud Newtonian, I stand today on the first day of this new year, confident about the future of this city we call home. Because of all the work of the city council and the school committee and the employees, we are doing so much to move this city forward. We're breaking ground on a new center for our older residents, the people who built this city. We're constructing new school buildings. Less than a year ago, we opened the first. This is the first facility ever built specifically for our 3- and 4-year-olds, the Newton Early Childhood Program. We just broke ground on a new home for the Lincoln Elliott Elementary School community and received, I don't know if you heard this good news, we just received $21 million in state funds to support the project. We are completing the designs for a brand new Countryside and Franklin school buildings, and in addition to Horace Mann, thanks to Newton voters last March, as well as the Newton Retirement Board this past summer. This is the most aggressive school capital investment period Newton has seen in many, many decades. We will upgrade facilities for our police officers and firefighters. The funding request is on the city council agenda actually today. We're renovating parks and tennis courts, and thank you, city council. We've both added lights and turf fields at both our high schools. We'll be swimming at 2 new pools and splashing in a new spray park at the Gath Complex this summer. Mark your calendars. It looks like June 10th might be the official opening. We're fostering community and joy by investing in arts and culture and supporting a wonderful panoply of nonprofits who can utilize the new community auditorium at 150 Jackson Road in just a few years. We're making our roads and sidewalks safer for pedestrians, cyclists, and drivers, and thank goodness we're paving roads, lots of them. 53 during this past paving season, with many more on tap for this coming construction season. We're greening our city. We just got this news by becoming one of the 10 communities in Massachusetts requiring electrification for new buildings. With Newton Power Choice, with clean energy requirements for buildings, with coaching on heat pumps and electric vehicles, and with a building emissions reduction and disclosure ordinance. We're planting more trees, and thanks to our urban forester, Mark Welch, and this city council, we updated our tree ordinance just a few weeks ago to better preserve our tree canopy and make sure we live up to our moniker, the Garden City. We are opening our doors. The Armory in West Newton will have 43 units of permanently affordable housing. We will soon welcome new families to transitional housing on Washington Street at the Family Aid West Newton Navigation Center. And bravo to this city council. We've updated our zoning so many of our village centers can have a better mix of housing, shops, restaurants, and public transit. We're pushing for better public transportation, working with State Rep. Khan, Senator Cream, and our partners at the State House, and with great leadership from Congressman Jake Auchincloss, our senators, and our partners in Washington, to get the critical final funding for for 3 new commuter rail stations in West Newton, Auburndale, and Newtonville, so we can have fully accessible, more frequent, and reliable service to Newton. We are committed to addressing the needs of our students and educators in the Newton Public Schools and supporting the vision of our new superintendent. By increasing the NPS operating budget, tapping into surplus funds, and investing in facilities and curriculum while paving the way for a pay raise for our amazing educators and settling a fair and sustainable contract with their union, the Newton Teachers Association. Today, we also begin a year-long celebration of the City of Newton's 150th birthday. Thanks to great research by our Director of Historic Newton, Lisa Dady, it appears that lively debate is in our DNA. Okay, so 150 years ago, William Jackson and former Governor William Claflin, believing a new city government would raise taxes and breed corruption, strongly preferred annexation to Boston. James F.C. Hyde led a counter group in favor of a change to a city, preferring a smaller, more local democracy. Several feisty town meetings ensued, and a small contingent in Newton Corner were so opposed to the city government model that they threatened to secede if Newton voted yes to become a standalone city. A special town meeting was called. Newton voters, all white men, as was the law at the time, overwhelmingly approved the change to a city. So on January 5th, 1874, the city of Newton was officially born, and history was made as our first mayor, James Hyde, took the oath of office. Hyde's inaugural address draws on themes that we all recognize today, 150 years later. Listen carefully to what Hyde called for. He called for additional space at the high school, a better water supply, a superintendent of streets, improved street lighting, and ordinances to prevent the construction of so-called improper buildings, as well as dangerous ones. And in the next few years, Mayor Hyde advocated for the Newton Free Library, a Newton Center tree club, and better public transit with more railroad lines. So you can see that Newton is a city defined by full-throttle debate, where strong-minded residents voice their opinions and committed elected officials marshal the resources to achieve our common good. In Newton, we are also a city where neighbors know one another. Those relationships and the connections between residents are what political scientists call social capital, individuals engaging for common ends. Social capital is something that Robert Putnam, an esteemed American political scientist, says is essential to democratic society. As we celebrate 150 years of our thriving Newton democracy, we are blessed with an abundance of social capital. We have intense, spirited debate. We care passionately about our common goals. I know this is a time of promise, and I am confident that President Laredo, Chair Bresky, and I are all committed to work together respectfully as we discuss, deliberate, and debate the best path forward. I love this community, and I am grateful for the privilege of being mayor. Here's to 2024 and a happy, healthy, and hopeful new year. Thank you. You're very sweet. Thank you. Thank you. You're very kind. Thank you. Thank you. It is now time to organize the City Council for its work this term. And the first action is to accept the rules and orders of the council. Is there a motion to accept the rules and orders for the 2024-2025 council?
Motion to accept the rules and orders.
There is a motion made by Councilor Mickley. Is there a second?
I will second.
The motion has been seconded by Councilor Malachy. All those in favor of accepting the rules and orders of the City Council will say aye. Aye. Opposed? The rules and orders for the 2024 City Council have been accepted. The next order of business is to elect the City Council's leadership. Is there a motion to go into the Committee of the Whole to conduct the election of officers for the 2024-2025 City Council?
Motion to enter into the Committee of the Whole to conduct election of officers and to elect the mayor as its temporary presiding officer.
A motion has been made by Councilor Kelly. Is there a second? The motion has been seconded by Councilor Getz. All those in favor of entering a Committee of the Whole will say aye. 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 Opposed? The City Council is now in a Committee of the Whole. The first order of business in the Committee of the Whole is to accept nominations for President of the Council. Are there any nominations for President?
I nominate Councilor Mark Laredo as President.
Councilor Lucas has nominated Councilor Laredo for President. Is there a second?
I second the nomination.
The nomination of Councilor Laredo has been seconded by Councilor Baker. Are there any other nominations?
I move that nominations be closed.
A motion has been made by Councilor Danberg to close nominations. All those in favor will say aye. 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 Any opposed? Nominations are closed. Councilor Laredo has been nominated as President of the City Council. All those in favor of Councilor Laredo as President will say aye. 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 Any opposed? The Committee of the Whole has selected Councilor Laredo as President. The City Council will now elect a Vice President. Are there any nominations for Vice President of the Council?
I rise to nominate my Ward 8 fellow councilor and friend David Kalis for Vice President of the City Council.
Councilor Lipoff has nominated Councilor Kalis. Is there a second to the nomination?
It is with great pleasure that I rise to second the nomination of our colleague David Kalis as Vice President.
Councilor Farrell has seconded the nomination. Are there any other nominations?
I move to close the nominations.
Councilor Greenberg has moved to close the nominations. All in favor of closing nominations, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nominations are closed and Councilor Kalis has been nominated. All those in favor of Councilor Kalis as Vice President will say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The Committee of the Whole has selected Councilor Kalis as Vice President, who I think may be zooming in. Congratulations, Councilor Kalis. The City Council will now select a President Emeritus. Are there any nominations for President Emeritus of the Council?
I rise to nominate Councilor Baker as President Emeritus.
Councilor Albright has nominated Councilor Baker. Is there a second to the nomination?
I second the motion.
Councilor Leary has seconded the nomination. Are there any other nominations?
I move to close nominations.
Councilor Krinsman has moved to close nominations. All in favor of closing nominations, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nominations are closed. All those in favor of Councilor Baker as President Emeritus will say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The Committee of the Whole has selected Councilor Baker as President Emeritus. Congratulations. That concludes the work of the Committee of the Whole. Is there a motion to go out of Committee of the Whole and report to the full council?
So moved.
Councilor Downs has made the motion. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
The motion has been seconded by Councilor Block. The Committee of the Whole has selected Councilor Laredo as president, Councilor Kalis as vice president, and Councilor Baker as President Emeritus, all in favor of electing these individuals as the City Council's leadership for 2024-2025 will vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The leadership has been approved, and congratulations to Councilors Laredo, Kalis, and Baker. It is an honor to now call upon the council's new president, Councilor Laredo, to come to the podium and say a few words.
Thank you, Mayor Fuller. Inaugurations are important events, a time when we can all come together to celebrate both continuity and a new beginning. I'm grateful to be part of that process today. I want to start by offering some words of gratitude to my City Council colleagues. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve as your president. I will work hard to earn the support and trust that you have shown me. I also want to welcome our 6 new City Council colleagues, Councilors Martha Bixby, Randy Block, Stephen Farrell, Raina Getz, Alan Lobovitz, and David Mickley, and our 2 new members of the school committee, Amy Davenport and Barry Greenstein. I also want to thank the families of our school committee members and city councilors. Serving on the city council and the school committee is a significant time commitment, and none of us can do this work without the support of our families. So if you're a family member of either a city councilor or a school committee member, will you just please rise so we can all acknowledge you and thank you together. Our leadership team for the past 4 years deserves a special thank you. Councilors Albright and Lipoff, thank you for your leadership as our president and vice president. And a special word about Councilor Baker, who is continuing to serve as our president emeritus. He's the longest serving member of this body. I think it's 40 years now. An invaluable resource for advice, perspective, institutional knowledge, and internal governance, and a model of how to engage in courteous and respectful discussion and debate. President Emeritus Baker, would you rise, please, so we can all thank you together. Finally, I also want to thank Mayor Fuller and the members of the school committee. Vice President Kalis and I look forward to working with you as we help lead our great city. My most important role as president of the City Council is to serve the institution of the City Council. Vice President Kalis and I will work closely and collaboratively to ensure that all of our members feel heard, all perspectives can be shared and discussed, and all deliberations are respectful. Our work began with the appointment of the committee chairs, vice chairs, and members. And together we have chosen committee leaders and members with a range of viewpoints, paying careful attention to making sure that leadership roles were distributed broadly and committees represent a diversity of views. We have a duty to deliberate thoughtfully, and that means listening to each other. It also means that we can disagree, and that is healthy. We do a better job when we engage in vigorous debate so that we are exposed to different points of view. But it also means that whenever possible, we should attempt to build a broad consensus to resolve an issue, no matter how controversial it may be. The City Council has two best practices guides, one for all councilors and the other for committee chairs. Vice President Kalis and I expect to update and reissue them shortly. These best practices will help all of us do our jobs better. It is critical that we, as your elected officials, always remember that we work for you, the nearly 90,000 residents of this city. So what does that mean? It means that we will listen, truly listen to our residents. You should not hesitate to provide us with feedback, good and bad, on particular issues before the council, and more generally, on how we are serving you. And while an occasional positive comment will be appreciated, we all benefit from some praise. It is also important that you offer your criticisms and suggestions for improvement. It means that you should expect to see us at an array of public events, such as the Martin Luther King Day celebration, the library fundraiser, Newton Serves, Village Days, Memorial and Veterans Day observances, and high school graduations. While none of us can be at everything, showing up matters. And finally, I'll leave you with this. It means that you should expect us, as your city councilors, as your elected officials, as the people we work, who are your employees, you should expect the following. We will work hard. We will listen thoughtfully and carefully. We will do our best to act fairly. We will accept feedback and learn from our mistakes. And always, 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 we will serve with integrity on your behalf. I know that my colleagues and I will do our best to meet those standards, and I look forward to a productive term for the City Council. Thank you very much. So back to business. We have a few pieces of business to finish our work today as a City Council. The acceptance of the seating assignments, perhaps the most important thing we do as the initial part of the term. The appointment of our staff, Carol Moore, our clerk, and Stephen Curley as comptroller, and the acceptance of the new docket. Is there any other business before the council today before we vote on those items? Councillor Kelly, I recognize you to assign some public hearings.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to assign public hearings for items 10-24 on page 2, and items 11-24, 12-24, 13-24 on page 3 for January 9th, 2024.
Thank you very much, Councillor Kelly. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please, on the approval of the seating assignments, the appointment of our staff, and the new docket?
Councillor Albright.
Aye.
Councillor Baker.
Aye.
Councillor Bixby.
Aye.
Councillor Block. Councillor Danberg.
Aye.
Councillor Downs.
Aye.
Councillor Farrell.
Aye.
Councillor Gentile.
Aye.
Councillor Getz.
Aye.
Councillor Greenberg.
Aye.
Councillor Grossman.
Aye.
Councillor Humphrey.
Aye.
Councillor Kalis.
Aye.
Councillor Kelly.
Aye.
Councillor Krinsman.
Aye.
Councillor Leary.
Aye.
Councillor Lipoff.
Aye.
Councillor Lobovitz. Councillor Lucas.
Aye.
Councillor Maliki.
Aye.
Councillor Mickley.
Aye.
Councillor Oliver. Councillor Wright.
Aye.
President Laredo.
Aye.
Motion carries 23 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absent.
Do I have a motion to adjourn until our next meeting on Tuesday, January 16th at 7:45 p.m.? Councillor Downs. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and we're adjourned until January 16th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Laredo. I look forward to working with this honorable council in the year ahead, 2 years ahead, actually. The next piece of business that comes before us is the organization of the school committee. The school committee must elect a chair. Is there a nomination for chair of the school committee? Appreciate the nomination by school committee member Davenport. Is there a second? This has been seconded by member Parlikar. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I move to close nominations, and all those in favor of first closing nominations will say aye. Are there any opposed? Nominations are closed. All those in favor of school committee member Bresky as chair of the school committee will say aye. Any opposed? The school committee has elected school committee member Bresky as chair. Congratulations, Chair Bresky. The school committee must now elect a vice chair. Is there a nomination for vice chair of the school committee? Thank you, school committee member Greenstein, for nominating Emily Prenner to be a vice chair. Is there a second?
I'd like to second nomination of Emily Rachel Prenner as vice chair of school committee.
Thank you, school committee member Shen. I now move to close nominations. All those in favor of closing nominations will say aye. Any opposed? Nominations are closed. All those in favor of school committee member Emily Rachel Prenner as vice chair will say aye. Any opposed? The school committee has just elected school committee member Prenner as vice chair. Congratulations. Congratulations to both of you, and I now invite our Chair Bresky to the rostrum to say a few words.
Thank you, Mayor Fuller. I first would like to just thank Member Tamika Olszewski and former member now, Kathy Shields, for the leadership they presented to this committee over what has been a challenging 2 years. And today I want to share a message grounded in reality. The reality is that Newton has done something special for generations. We've managed to thread this needle where we deliver a quality of education that is equivalent to wealthier communities a quarter or a third of our size. This achievement cannot be understated, as there is no place else in the Commonwealth nearing our size and quality of our public schools. Another reality exists, that the Newton Public Schools have been at a multi-year crossroad. The trends creating this inflection point predate the pandemic, but were certainly exacerbated by it. Our challenge, as we continue to work through this moment, is to ensure that Newton continues to thread that needle for the generations to come, being a city of 90,000 and delivering that high-quality education, producing strong academic output, and providing what is required for the diverse needs of our students. And to manage these two realities, I simply ask that we be productive. Being productive includes an honest assessment and, if necessary, reevaluation of the path we are on. It will require defining expected outcomes up front and assessing whether we are achieving those outcomes. We cannot be an organization driven solely by ideals without recognition of whether the policies we choose produce results aligned with those ideals. NPS needs to be an outcome-driven organization, one where our ideals will define our expected outcomes and the implementation of our policies will produce them. And so being productive applies to every member of the MPS community. This committee, our administrators and staff, our families, the broader community. Ask whether every policy, practice, or interaction is productive. Is it moving us closer to our goals? What is the purpose? What is the expected outcome we are seeking from the action we are taking? Will our chosen path achieve those goals? An important element of this inflection point has been new leadership, and I believe this institution has the leader it needs to move forward, to be productive, to define our goals and put forth a plan to achieve them. I look forward to working with Dr. Anna Nolan over the coming year doing just that. And with Dr. Nolan's leadership, I believe, and I hope that you, the City Council, our educators and families, and the community will see us being productive. Because this is how we intend to earn your trust and to continue to thread that needle. We will be clear about our intentions, state our goals up front, and deliver the results that you expect and that our kids deserve. Thank you.
I now invite the senior pastor of New City Church, Devlin Scott, to provide a benediction to close out our ceremony today.
The benediction is a symbolic and often meaningful way to mark the beginning of a new term of city officials. It also offers support inspiration, and a sense of purpose as you take on your new roles. Inerrant in the idea of the benediction is both the acknowledgement of what has been, how we got here, what lies underneath our feet on the road we've traveled thus far, and a looking forward, a commencement of what shall be, an acknowledgement that we have learned from the road traveled. We commit to traveling still in hopes of traveling better, different, more informed, and with a sense of purpose. For many of you, the road that leads here is familiar, akin to one that lies ahead. You have been re-elected to your post. For others, your journey here starts anew, but you have all traveled a road to get here. All of our feet are marked by the roads we've traveled. Allow this time to be a moment of reckoning. Before washing your feet for the journey ahead, notice what has stained them, what your feet have collected. Notice the dirt that testifies to both how far you have come, but also bears the proof that you have of the things you have had to walk through, participate in, and do to get here. Because if we never look back and learn from where we've been, we are bound to step in the same, shall I say, stuff again. So, in an effort to watch our steps, let's look back and then look forward. In the diversity of my own home, where cultures intertwine, Caucasian, Korean, and African American, we take pride in standing united in our pursuit of mutual understanding and growth. Our diversity is of great value to us because it allows us to learn from one another's cultures and histories as this covenantal way to find the best in all of us for the betterment of our family unit. So as a Christian family, we celebrate Christmas and all the things that come with it until December 25th. And it has become a tradition in our house to close out the year with Kwanzaa, which starts on December 26th. We swap out the Christmas decor on our buffet and exchange it with Kwanzaa decor. Kwanzaa is a festival celebrating African heritage, and it embraces 7 guiding principles: umoja, unity; kujichagulia, self-determination; ujema, collective responsibility; ujama, cooperative economics; nia, purpose; kuumba, creativity; and imani, faith. And then by sundown on January 1st, today, we are all dressed up in hanboks, welcoming in the new year in our Korean ceremonial garb. The month of December has become a way for us to look back, to grasp what really is important to us, to place it against where we've traveled thus far, and to consult us on how to travel moving forward. It's our checkpoint before the next step. It's our rest stop before the next leg of the race. Today, we gather on this auspicious occasion, marked not only by the 2024 inauguration of our city leaders, but also by this day, the 7th and last day of Kwanzaa, Imani. I offer you my culture's principles of community, rooted in our people, our struggle, rooted in our future. You may borrow them only to learn from them. I share them not to be appropriated, but as a covenant of understanding and mutual respect. So today, the principle Imani, faith, speaks as the belief in the goodness and potential within ourselves and our community. And today, as a gesture of unity and sharing learning, I invite you to embrace the principles from my culture's celebration, the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. Let's take a moment to honor the tradition of prayer in my culture by standing together and joining hands. May we bow our heads in reverence, acknowledging the weight of the responsibility ahead as we invoke the spirit of unity and wisdom. I pray for umoja, unity. Rather than partaking in the bitter cup of division and disunity served on national and world stages, let us stand together, recognizing strength in diversity, understanding that unity doesn't mean uniformity, but the harmonious coexistence of our differences. I pray for Kuji Chagulia, self-determination. Instead of using our voices to sow seeds of animosity or dissent, may our leaders embrace the power of self-determination, empowering our citizens to shape their destinies and contribute to the greater good. I pray for Ujima, collective work and responsibility. Instead of using our platforms to spread falsehoods or even slight exaggerations of the truth as if we are wholesome only after we are winning, call us to collaborative efforts. Remind us that progress and success are communal endeavors, requiring shared responsibility. I pray for Ujamaa, cooperative economics. Instead of believing in a scarcity mentality, let us see how we are economically interconnected. We must support local businesses, organizations, and places of worship, fostering economic growth within our city and ensuring prosperity for all. I pray for Nia, purpose. Instead of viewing our roles as manifestations of constituents' complaints or imitations of their fears and concerns, urge us as leaders to set forth with clear intent and as examples, working diligently for the betterment of our community and nurturing aspirations for a brighter future. I pray for Kumba, creativity. Rather than believing our past is superior to our future, let us believe that our best days are still ahead of us. Encourage innovation. Inspire the exploration of new ideas and solutions that enrich and uplift our city. And finally, I pray for Imani, faith. Instead of remaining entrenched in our divided bunkers of shared distrust and disagreement, let faith call us to a place to trust each other and share in our future and in the resilience of our community. In the spirit of unity and respect for diverse traditions, I implore our leaders to glean wisdom from these principles, understanding that the richness of our community lies in the tapestry of our differences. May these principles serve as beacons, guiding us toward a future built on understanding, empathy, and collective progress. May the journey ahead for our city and its leaders be guided by these principles that will foster community where every voice is heard, every voice is valued, and every voice is respected. Amen.
I thank you, Reverend Scott, for closing us out with those important goals. And to everybody who is here today, I hope a happy, healthy, and joyful 2024 Please join us right behind here in the War Memorial for some birthday cake and some light refreshments. Thank you, everybody. Happy New Year.
Thank you.